Oh, hello, everybody. We are back, and with me is the lovely, gorgeous, blonde-headed lady who's going to have lots of fun, Rachel Dyer. So, Rachel, please introduce yourself and tell us a bit about what you're doing and what you're involved in and all that good stuff.
Okay, so my name is Rachel Dyer. I live here on Vancouver Island in sunny Souk. I am co-owner of a gym here, Souk Health and Fitness. I'm also co-founder and El Presidente of Souk Women in Business. And yeah, that between the two and a couple of dogs, that pretty much keeps me busy.
Yeah. Yeah, the dog seemed to do that. Mine was sitting here growling and we were ignoring him. And like he's 15, going to be 15, and he's diabetic and he's blind and he can't see and he's little. So, but we were ignoring him because we were busy. And all of a sudden he just gives this huge growling bark. Like, oh my God, like, give me a biscuit, man.
Yeah, feed me. I get that with mine. Feed me. It's dinner time right now.
Yeah, like I'm sitting there thinking, like, we were both just killing ourselves because it was hilarious what he was doing. I was just clicking my phone off. So yeah, so you have shared your story in Sacred Hearts Rising, Finding Your Wings.
I have.
And can you tell us in a sentence or two what your story is about?
So my story is just a portion of my journey with scoliosis. I was diagnosed at 16 and I'm now well past 16. I won't give my age away though. And just, you know, how it's affected me through the years, probably more so as I've got older than when I was younger, because when we're younger, we don't seem to mind things so much. So it's just trying to share some of my experience and my journey with it, and from where I've come from to where I am now.
So what was your main purpose? Because like I say, you've been diagnosed since you were 16. Your friends know that you have this. So what was the main purpose for you in sharing it in a book?
A couple of things. One thing is to actually raise more awareness of scoliosis, because interestingly enough, none of my friends knew I had it until I told them. And a lot of it is just because of the clothes I wear. It's not very obvious that I have scoliosis. So even after having surgery, I still have quite a severe curve in my spine. So we do a very good job of hiding it, a lot of us. So it's not always noticeable. So the big part for me is making people a little bit more aware of scoliosis and what it is. And also to help people that are maybe going through the same journey as me, not necessarily with scoliosis, but with a lot of, you know, body image, yeah, and how they're feeling about themselves, and how, you know, just some of the steps I've used to get me through it, to give me some more confidence and to learn to love my body, really. And if, you know, if one person reads it and it helps them, then I'm happy. Obviously, I want more people to read it and to help more people. And even those that don't have scoliosis, if they know people with scoliosis, just to help them become aware of how it can affect people in their everyday lives as well. So
yeah, it is, like I say, I've known you now a few years. I see you probably once a year when I was in Parksville.
Yeah.
Long distance relationship. And I did not know, because if this is going to sound really great, you carry it well.
Yeah.
You know, yeah, I would never, ever have thought that you had that. And when you did a presentation and you had the pictures up of what you look like, and a friend of yours, Roxanne, had taken photos of you, boudoir type photos.
Yeah. And,
you know, you could clearly see it, but it never, ever changed my perception of you.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and so when we carry those scars, you know, we think the world sees our scars, but in reality, the world doesn't.
Oh, and that's how I was. I thought everybody could see that I have a raised hump one side, and, you know, I walk a little funny because everything's out of work. I thought everybody saw that, and nobody did.
No, nobody did. So how did you find writing your story? Did you find that finally putting it. It's one thing to know that we have something and to feel it and to live with it. It's quite another thing to actually sit down and put pen to paper and share about it.
Oh, absolutely.
How did you find that for you?
I started off, I was gung-ho. I felt like the words were rolling, but I was writing so much down, and I wasn't focusing on one thing in particular. So to me, it was just, I was writing something down. And then when I started to focus more on what I was doing, it actually was really, really hard, because it was, I was admitting out loud, or pen to paper, so to speak, that this is how I saw myself and this is what I thought. So, just to start off with, when I really narrowed it down, it just became so hard. It became, because it was like, okay, now this is real, and now it's part of the acceptance journey. But it was, I'm so glad that I did it, but it was harder than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, it's amazing. Some of them say that when they're writing the story, it was very difficult. Some of them say it was a breeze. And I find that, like you say, it's an acceptance. Like, we acknowledge what it is that we have, whether it's scoliosis, or we have abuse, or we have something in our past. We acknowledge it. And then when we accept it, there's another kind of a shift.
Yeah.
When you release it,
yeah,
that is a totally different ball game when you put it to paper and you say, here it is for the world to see. It is a fundamental shift, and I believe that it's for all of the authors, it's been a shift in the positive.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely. Because it's part, once I got over the struggle with it, I think it really reminded me of how far I've come as well. And sometimes you don't realize you battle through it every day, and you don't think you've achieved anything, or you don't feel better about yourself. And then as you're writing this story, yes, the starting was hard, but then as I got further through it, and the realization became more and more that I'm healing as well. Like, putting this down is helping me heal, because I'm almost getting rid of some of that negativity that was inside me, by writing it down and accepting myself for who I am and how I look.
Yeah, it is. I have to agree with you there, because I know that when I viewed myself a certain way, and it was a lot to do with the abuser's words and things like that. And, they say that words cannot hurt you. Sticks and stones can break your bones, but words cannot hurt you. Well, that is a blatant lie.
Words can hurt you, yep.
And, your scars and your broken bones, they do heal, be it that a broken bone will heal, but in later life there's arthritis and things like that. And your scars from other traumas are still there.
Yeah.
They may have a scab over top of them, but they're still there. But those words that people say to you and tell you of your value and your worth and what you look like and all of that stuff, they stick like glue.
Yeah.
And those are the hardest ones to, I think, for us to let go, is those negative words, because we all have our own little, I call it the itty bitty shitty club, that sits on your shoulder. Telling you that you're no good, you can't do it. What do you think you're doing? Who do you think you are? Like, go back in the house and sit there. That is always there. But then you compile it with, abusers, or an illness, or a disability, and then that just is more.
Yeah.
And it takes on a whole new level of, people can see me this way, or I feel that people see me this way. So yeah, words are fundamentally powerful. And I think when we take the negative power from those words and turn it into something positive, it becomes 100-fold more powerful.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, the positive is way more powerful than the negative. And we just have to change it so that we take all that negativity and turn it into the positivity. And wow, then you just shine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it is amazing. So we do recommend other people to share their stories of if they have a disability of some sort or anything like that? Would you recommend that they share it?
I would. And again, going back to the, you know, for anyone who's watching, who's even considering it and thinks, oh, I can't because it's hard or anything else. Yes, it is hard, but the reward is so worth it. I mean, other than the connections you make with other people, sometimes just writing it down will help with the healing. It help gets it out there. And you just don't know who's going to read it that you're going to help. And anyone who's thinking about writing, I'd say do it. And I know it's a hard thing to do, but do it, because the rewards outweigh everything else. You know, at the end of it, it's part of your healing and what you can do for other people. So just go for it.
Yeah, I think healing of the soul is a lot harder. And we invest in other things of the body and you know, I got to go to the gym and I got to do this and I got to hit my yoga class. Oh, I'm going to do hot yoga. I'm going to do Zumba, you know, and we become so ingrained in the fitness part of our bodies. And that is a good thing, but we forget the soul part of our bodies needs just as much attention, if not more, especially if it's overcoming something or dealing with something.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. And I think we have to invest in our souls.
Oh, absolutely. Because if your soul isn't right, no matter what you do, the rest of you is never right. You're never whole. You know, and that's a hard thing to live like that if you don't feel complete. And we're always on that journey. I get that. No one is usually 100% complete, but you got to keep taking the steps to get there. So, yeah, for sure. Yeah.
We all have a story.
Oh yeah, everybody does.
If you can't live in this world and not have a story somewhere along the line.
And just going back to anyone who's thinking about writing, you may think that you don't have a story, because I used to think I didn't have a story. Then when you either start to speak or put pen to paper, you actually realize that you do have a story. So for anyone who thinks they don't, sit down and think about that, because I'm pretty sure you'll find you do have a story in there.
Yep. And they usually affect you in not the right way. Yeah. You know, especially if it's a story about self-image, any of that sort of stuff. You have a tendency, as we all know, as women, and I would imagine men do it too, but I'm not a man, so I can only speak for me, that our self-image of how we view ourselves and how we look at ourselves is way more critical than anybody else could say to us.
Absolutely.
So
we are our own worst critics.
Yeah. So where does that come from? You know, that comes from somewhere down there. Somebody has said, you aren't good enough.
Yeah.
You know, either, you know, you were bullied at school, or somebody was, you know, the neighbor called you fat, or, you know, I was called Razorback Hog. You know? You know, I'm like a Razorback Hog, but it was because I was so skinny. Like I was a walking toothpick, and my backbone standing up stood out about an inch. So if I bent over to do something, you've seen all of the ridges of my backbone. Well, now I am not as skinny as I used to be. So when I bend over now, there is no backbone ridge coming out. But, you know, and I was just a kid, but that has stuck with me.
Yeah.
Razorback Hog. And I mean, you know, I was called Flatsy because, you know, I wasn't exactly well endowed at being, you know, less than 100 pounds when I was 17. I can't say that I have that problem now, but you know, things have blossomed. I'm a late bloomer. But it is those words give you an image. Yep. And it is hard to shake that image. So I applaud you, my dear, for taking that step and saying, no, this is what I have, and sharing it with the world, because you do not, like I say, and I'll say this again, you do not look like you have scoliosis. You carry it well. And Like I say, nobody knows. And when people read your story, they're going to be blown away
Thank you.
by the grace on how you told your story.
Thank you.
You are
Thank you.
so
Thank you
welcome.
for giving me the opportunity as well, because it's all a step in healing, and that's what it's all about.
Yeah, I kind of pounced on you there at that event.
Oh yeah, you didn't really give me much choice in front of all those people. I couldn't really say. It was like, oh yes, panic. Oh, I can write a story. Yeah, absolutely. I can write a story. So you see, you just never know. So if someone gives you that opportunity, you just never know what you can do.
No, that is true. That is very true.
Yeah.
Well, my dear, I know that you have a busy schedule, and it took us a while to get this organized for you because you are a girl that's on the go. So
Yep.
thank you very much for being with us today on our the book launch. And we're going to see you in May at the summit. You are going to be speaking on the stage. So that is going to be super, super exciting. I am so looking forward to all of the stuff that is going to happen for all of the authors at the summit. Lots of surprises, lots of excitement. So I shall let you go. So thank you for joining us, Rachel, and much love to you. And I am honored that you trusted me in sharing your story.
Thank you.
We will talk soon.
Sounds good. Take care.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye.